You think just because I'm holding my kid, I won't pull the trigger, you bastard. That's the last thing anyone ever heard Maya Kane say. A scream, then 3 gunshots, sharp enough to rip a hole through the comm on 38 Maple Street. Inside, Maya was feeding our baby, soft lullabies swallowed up by the kind of chaos that leaves nothing the same. 4 seconds later, the cops had stormed in. No knock, no warrant, no time to even shout why. They shot a black woman in her own house and didn't know they'd just unleashed hell. That was the night my life ended and started again, all at once. Deadliest Kane, yeah, that's me. Spent half my life teaching people how to disappear, how to kill clean and walk away without a trace. Now I was the one standing in the street, soaked in Maya's blood, clutching my baby girl, Nia, listening to her cry. I'd trained hundreds in how to survive in places nobody wants to remember, but I'd never taught myself what to do when the war came home. Losing Maya, it wasn't grief that hit me. It was something colder, heavier, a kind of fury that could only be born from love, or from seeing the world just plain refuse to be fair. Let me back up a sec. Before all this, I was just another soldier packing his bag like he'd done 100 times, shirts folded sharp, everything in its place, nothing extra. Heading home, finally, to a woman and a daughter who had never once seen me outside of blurry midnight video calls. Nobody at my last base said goodbye. Not really. You don't get a parade when you live in the shadows. My CO handed me a discharge card and said, "Live with decency." That's it. For guys like me, silence isn't weakness. It's just the only way to leave. Landing in Westbrook felt like coming back to a world that had gone gray around the edges. The cabbie barely spoke. Neighbors didn't wave. Kids saw me and bolted like I was the boogeyman. Maya, she looked almost the same. Tired, maybe thinner, but she still had those eyes that could stare through you and make you want to be better. Nia screamed when she saw me, like some part of her knew who I was. For the first time in forever, I knelt and just hugged them both, felt myself melt into something I hadn't been since before the uniform. But dinner that night? Man, it was thick enough to cut. It felt like there was a 4th person at that old wooden table, sitting in the dark, daring us to pretend things were normal. Maya talked about her clinic. Out of painkillers, prices up, police everywhere like we were living in a war zone. Where do they think we are, Afghanistan? She joked, except it wasn't funny. She told me about a kid getting his arm snapped for not unlocking his phone, about cops just parked outside her clinic for hours, not even pretending to look busy. They call me the slum doctor, she said, voice flat. Since I spoke up at city council, someone walks by our house every day, real slow. And I could see it. She wasn't afraid. She was just tired. And that scared me more than any firefight I'd survived. A few days in, I went to buy diapers. Got pulled over, of course. 2 white cops. "You live here?" "Yes, officer." "ID." Searched my trunk, my wallet, my diaper bag. "Just procedure," they said. Not a sorry, not a smile. Just making sure I knew who had the right to be here. When I told Maya, she just filled my glass and said, "They let you go because you wore the uniform once. But black boys out there, they don't get that card." Yeah, that happened. That night, Maya got a text from an unknown number. "Stay quiet if." For words, no punctuation, just enough to freeze her hand above the keyboard. She didn't wake me. She knew what would happen if I found out. I'd go back to being the man who solves things with more than words. Next morning, her clinic window was smashed. Red spray paint across the logo. "Shut up if you want to live." Security cameras were dead, cables cut from the inside. Cops shrugged. Gang stuff? Probably. Tough to investigate. No dusting for prints, no photos, nothing. Still, Maya went to that city council meeting, bandaged hand and all. She stood at the podium and said, "I'm not here as a doctor, but as a mother, as a neighbor who's had to lower her gaze when a patrol car slows for no reason but the color of my skin." She didn't yell. She just stared them down, eyes unblinking, voice steady. There was no applause, no protest, just cold silence. And at the front row, Colton Maddox, police chief's son, gave her this little smile. Not friendly. The kind you get from someone who's just marked their target. That night, Maya drove home with a car tailing her, headlights flickering off and on. When she told me, I opened up my old case. Handgun, comms gear, combat knife. Stuff I'd sworn I'd never need again. Because we both knew it. The war wasn't out there anymore. It was here, on Maple Street. The memorial service for veterans came, all red, white, blue pageantry and elementary schoolers with flags. Sheriff Vernon Maddox, the big boss, gave me a handshake that felt like a warning. His son Colton showed up, crisp uniform, no name tag, dead eyes. "Hope you adjust," he said. "Never found anything harder," I told him. After that, I started seeing Westbrook for what it was, a place run by signals, not laws. Patrols doubled up in black neighborhoods. Traffic cameras went dark at the weirdest times. Everything was a message. Maya, she'd been keeping records, medical files, complaint logs, body cam malfunctions, the whole rotten system. She'd turned her clinic into an archive. When a nurse named Amy Lawson, the only ER staff who saw Maya's body up close, offered to meet, we arranged a safe spot. She never showed. Her car was found in a lake. Accident, they said. No autopsy, no investigation, just a case closed. Then, suddenly, the Westbrook PD's servers malfunctioned. 3 years of complaints, video logs, and reports wiped overnight. Contractor in charge got paid leave. You know what I mean? This wasn't just a cover-up. This was a system burning the evidence with a single memo. I watched it all from a distance as my house was torched. The safe with Maya's records melted into slag. The news called it an electrical fire. Nobody interviewed neighbors. Nobody cared. By then, the system had switched modes. Not just defense, attack. They came for my daughter next. Emergency order. No trial. No hearing. Unstable psychological condition. Risk to the child. For people showed up. 2 social workers, 2 plainclothes officers. Took Nia, stuffed Fox and all, into a car with no plates. I didn't fight. I knew one wrong move would make her watch her dad get dragged away. I watched that car drive off and realized this wasn't about justice anymore. It was about erasure. They locked my bank accounts, froze my license, marked me as a threat on the nightly news. To everyone else, I was just another unstable veteran with a grudge. But I wasn't alone. Maya's files had been encrypted and stashed in 3 places. My old team, ghosts with no records, no names, came out of the woodwork. Hound, Rook, Dune. We went after the only thing the system fears, the truth. We hacked the PD's backup server, old technician ID, backup audit window, just enough time to snatch what they thought they'd erased. Found internal emails tying Colton Maddox to 14 dismissed complaints. Found the line about Amy Lawson. No further action needed. Subject is no longer reachable. We pushed the data to Sarah Kilpatrick, an independent journalist. She didn't flinch, just published. No clickbait. No spin. Woman shot over a baby bottle, and the system scrubbing the evidence. The story blew up. 500,000 shares, then a senator calling for hearings, watchdog groups jumping in. Maya's name was finally spoken out loud. As a doctor, a mother, a neighbor. The community woke up. Teachers, pastors, veterans, they all started asking questions the system couldn't bury anymore. But here's the real kicker. When a system can kill your wife, torch your house, steal your kid, erase your existence, and still call itself the law, well, you tell me. What do you do next? Me? I'm still standing. And the truth's out there now, too stubborn to burn. So, you've heard my story. Was it justice, or just power winning again? Was Maya's courage worth it, or did the system win by grinding us down? Drop a comment below. What do you think justice looks like when the people in charge rewrite the rules? Because at the end of the day, silence is complicity. And if you feel even a flicker of anger, maybe it's time to ask yourself what side you're really on.